Hi everyone, it's Sandy Smith-Leyva. This is another edition of Brain Food for Accounting Leaders. This week we're going to talk about jumping to conclusions, which, if you can master this, is part of boosting your resilience. And think about if you've ever received a phone call or even an email that says, call me as soon as possible. And that's all they say. So what can happen is you can jump to conclusions like something's completely wrong, right? So this is probably a pretty hard one to really manage. But if it happens to you a lot, then there is a way to kind of reset your meter so that you're a little bit more resilient and you're not assuming the worst until you need to, if you need to. So the question is, what happens to your thinking? There's a problem with the work I did. Something's wrong. They're not going to pay my bill. They're going to give me more work. Or, which could be positive, right? Maybe they're calling to tell you how happy they are with your work, right? These are some things that you could jump to the conclusions for. So where does your brain go? Be aware of it and think about where your brain might want to go. So if you've got a normal brain, then the first three are negative, and that's where your brain generally goes. Oh no, something's a problem, right? No, you don't have to think like that, though, because it's going to cause your stress to go way up. And typically it's a worry that almost never comes true, right? So the reason why our brain does this is it's trying to keep you safe, trying to keep you alive, and it's trying to fill in information because it doesn't like to make decisions based on incomplete information. And if you're at risk, it likes to fill in negative information and think the worst, and that's why you've stayed alive all these centuries and millennia. But another thing could happen is if you're overly optimistic, you might also think about number 4 and number 5. They're going to give me more work. They're going to tell me how happy they are. And the thing is, the healthiest answer is basically to not think anything. And I know this is hard, but I want you to at least be aware of where this starts to come up in your life, and then you'll be able to tackle it. So nothing. They just want to call me, and I'm not going to, they just want me to call them, and I'm not going to speculate why. I'll just call them, you know. So that's the healthiest answer, is to just, I don't know why, but I'll just call them, you know. So here's your action steps on this one. Retrain your brain, notice when it happens, and see if it happens more around certain people or certain places or during certain times. That would be really, really telling, wouldn't it? And then the second step is to relax and do the best you can to have that blank slate, which will serve you in this particular resilience build as well. And if it really does bother you, then just, you know, call the person like right away so that you're not you're not having angst about this. All right, so see if you can become more aware of where you jump to conclusions. And when you do and when you manage that, you'll boost your resilience. We'll see you next week.